Hi, welcome to this video on pharmacological aids. So, pharmacological are substances that athletes take or some choose to take that increase the levels of neurotransmitters by the body. So, hormones, for example, anabolic steroids increases the amount of that you produce. EPO, we're going to talk about that as well, and similarly with HGH. What we can say about each of these substances, they are illegal. So the bulk of pharmacological aids are illegal substances, and people take them. They've got big side effects, and that's what we're going to look at, the reasons why people take them and the potential side effects. But these are all called pharmacological because, as we've said, they increase the amount of substances such as hormones and neurotransmitters. They're already in your body, and they artificially increase the volume of them. So we'll start with anabolic steroids. As we've said, probably one of the most famous, if not the most famous, pharmacological aid. They boost the amount of testosterone in your system, which is typically, what's called the male hormone. So what does it do? It increases protein synthesis. So that means you can increase your muscle mass. If I can get more protein into my system, I can increase my muscle mass. That, as a result, is going to increase strength and power. It's also going to speed up recovery, and I'm also going to have an increased intensity and duration of training. Now, I'm not defending people who cheat and use anabolic steroids, but people who do take anabolic steroids actually train harder than those people who don't. It's not a case of injecting the substance and you're suddenly a world-class athlete. You've got to train very, very hard, and they allow you to do that because of the sped up recovery and because of the increased intensity and duration of training. Add on to that the fact that you put the muscle mass down quicker and easier, and you see increased strength and power. So this is a substance that is definitely used by power athletes, people looking to increase muscle mass and looking to generate high forces. But inevitably, there are downsides, there are negatives to taking these substances. So what we've got is massively increased aggression levels when people take anabolic steroids, and that also leads to increased paranoia. As well as that, you get liver damage and heart failure, which obviously is a massive downside. And here's a couple of ones that people think about, but it's worth pointing out. You get masculinization in women. That is like things like facial hair growth, the voice deepens. You are increasing the amount of the male hormone testosterone in a female body, so it will have masculinization as a consequence. But weirdly, in males, you actually get testes shrinkage and reduced fertility. Now, why is that? I never understood that when I was first taught this, but it's your testicles that produce testosterone. So if you are giving your body testosterone from an external source, such as an injection or a tablet, then as a result, your testicles will begin to shrink because they're not needed as much anymore. So they're downsides to the use of anabolic steroids and some of the key reasons why they are banned. So on to EPO then, erythropoietin. It's not erythroprotein, erythropoietin. EPO. This is the one that was at the centre of the Lance Armstrong scandal. This is the one that he and his fellow cyclists in his team were guilty of taking or found guilty of taking. So what does EPO do, and why was it taken by Tour de France cyclists? Well, just as anabolics was definitely for power athletes and strength athletes, this is definitely for endurance athletes. What does it do? EPO is naturally in your blood right now, hence why it's a pharmacological aid. What we're using EPO, the injection, which is more technically known as recombinant EPO, what we are doing is we are increasing the amount of EPO in your blood, and EPO stimulates the production of more red blood cells and hemoglobin. So again, like I said, you've got EPO, it's naturally occurring in your body, and what we are doing is we are increasing the amount of that in your body by injecting it into the system. That increases the red blood cell count and hemoglobin levels. As a result, Lance and other endurance athletes can carry more oxygen, which means they can work in endurance at higher levels, and ultimately they can delay fatigue. They can work for longer before they get tired, which is the reasons why. The negative effects then, we know reasons why it's banned. Well, as you're increasing the amount of red blood cells and hemoglobin, remember they are solid bits of material. Red blood cells are solid. So you are actually making the blood thicker. The plasma, the water that makes up your blood, that's staying the same, but you are sticking more solid material into the blood. It's like putting more gravy granules into the water. It's going to thicken up. I would talk about gravy, I'm northern, but that's essentially what is happening there. So the blood is thicker, it's harder to pump around the body. As a result, we've got a much greater increased risk of blood clots and heart failure because that blood is going to stick. It's not going to flow as freely. Because it's not going to flow as freely, I'm going to get decreased cardiac output because my stroke volume is also going to go down. I can't pump out as much blood per heartbeat, which is stroke volume. Therefore, I can't pump out as much blood per minute because the blood is thicker. It's thicker. It's not flowing as well. And just as taking anabolics reduced our natural production of testosterone in males, injecting EPO is going to reduce your natural or decrease your natural production of EPO as well, which is another massive side effect. So finally then, HGH, human growth hormone. As you might expect, quite a big similarity between HGH and anabolic steroids. They do increase muscle mass and strength. However, where they are, sorry, I may as well skip down to these two as well. They do speed up recovery and they do increase the intensity and duration of training. So, you know, similar to what we've got over here. But where is HGH different to anabolics? Lance Armstrong was also taking HGH as well as EPO. Now, he wasn't taking HGH for its muscle mass increased qualities, things like that. He was taking it for the reasons in here. Increased fat metabolism, so you can break down more fat. As a cyclist, you don't want to be carrying too much excess body weight in endurance events. It has that benefit. But it also increases the amount of glucose in the blood. So you've got more energy circulating in your bloodstream to transport to the muscles, which is going to be highly beneficial to many athletes, in particular endurance athletes. So it is similar to anabolics in that it does increase muscle mass and strength, but it does break down more fat and it does put more glucose into the blood as well. So the downsides then, well, as you might expect with HGH, it doesn't just target the muscles. It was designed as a medicine. You might have heard that Lionel Messi was given HGH as a young boy. That wasn't for any performance enhancement. That was because he was very undersized and he's still very small. HGH was designed to increase the size of most things, including bones. So you're going to have a normal bone development as well as the muscles. We're also going to have enlargement of vital organs. Now, that's not necessarily good because the heart and lungs are on the inside of the rib cage. And if the rib cage isn't getting bigger at the same time as the heart and lungs are getting bigger, then you've got problems. You could lead to heart failure and things like that. It's also because you're packing the blood full of more glucose, you're also increasing the risk of diabetes as well. And because it increases the size of certain things in your body, certain structures, you've now also got an increased risk of certain cancers because those cancers can potentially enlarge through the use of HGH. So all in all, a lot of downsides. And like I said, the things in the red are the downsides. That's why these are banned substances. A lot of it, you know, yes, it's unfair to take them in the first place. But second, there's big harm issues. So all three of these are what are called pharmacological aids. Any questions on pharmacological aids? We want you to talk about these three substances. Hope you found this video useful, folks.